Nelson White, your number one celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyi Osarati is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV, live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Voice of the People. You can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokubo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
Well, hello and welcome to the African News and Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, we would urge you to kindly visit our website. It's www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news stories. We begin the African News from the story where the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Yusuf, and the Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs, Wang Yi, have held the 9th China-Africa Union Strategic Dialogue at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Also jointly attending the opening ceremony of the 2026 China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchanges, the two met on the China-Africa joint efforts to advance modernization, global governance, zero tariff treatment, the International Organization for Mediation, and the outlook of peace and development in the Horn of Africa. Addressing the media afterwards, they underscored the importance of jointly safeguarding the legitimate rights and interests of the global South and reaffirmed commitments to supporting each other to safeguard their respective core interests and major concerns. In this regard, they emphasized the need to further strengthen coordination and cooperation in order to inject positive momentum into global and regional peace, stability, and development. Also, the AU reaffirmed its commitment to the One China principle, stating that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory, with the Chinese government the sole legal government of the whole of China. And in Ethiopia, Ethiopian authorities said the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed received Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Addis Ababa for talks as part of Wang's four-nation tour of Africa that will also take him to Somalia and Tanzania before concluding with Lesotho on January the 12th. The Ethiopian Prime Minister's office said the discussion focused on deepening bilateral relations and addressing key regional issues of mutual interest. A Chinese foreign ministry said a statement disclosed that during the meeting, Wang expressed Beijing's willingness to elevate the all-weather strategic partnership between China and Ethiopia to new heights. Wang also urged an accelerated upgrade of economic and trade cooperation and enhancement of collaboration in infrastructure, green industry, and the Belt and Road Initiative, amongst others. He expressed hope that Ethiopia would provide a favorable environment for Chinese enterprises to invest and operate. On his part, Abiy also expressed willingness to deepen cooperation in areas including infrastructure, new energy, artificial intelligence, and maritime affairs. Away from that report, Somalia has denied by the United States that local officials seized food from a World Food Program warehouse, following which Washington said it has suspended aid pending on investigation. A foreign ministry statement noted that the supplies mentioned in recent reports remained under WFP control, including aid provided by the U.S. According to the ministry, the WFP warehouse is located in the Mogadishu port area, where ongoing expansion and redevelopment have not affected the custody, management, or distribution of humanitarian aid. The ministry said the government was reviewing the matter through a technical interagency committee in coordination with humanitarian partners following the concerns raised over port expansion activities. The U.S. had on Wednesday paused all assistance to Somalia's federal government, with the State Department claiming that local officials destroyed the WPF warehouse and seized 76 metric tons of food intended for vulnerable civilians. It stated on X that the Trump administration has a zero-tolerance policy for waste, theft, and division of life-saving assistance. Still in Somalia, in another development, the Somali Immigration Agency says the country is investigating the alleged unauthorized use of its airspace by the head of Yemen's Southern Transitional Council, that's the STC, Aidaros al-Zubaidi. In a statement, the Immigration and Citizenship Agency, that's the ICA, said it was working with other national authorities to verify whether Somalia's airspace and airports were used to facilitate the movement of a fugitive political figure in breach of Somali law or authorization procedures. The agency noted that if confirmed, the actions would represent a serious breach of Somalia's sovereignty and immigration laws, stressing that the facilitation of fugitives or any unilateral operations on its territory without authorization was unacceptable, noting that Mogadishu has consistently supported Saudi Arabia's call for dialogue in Riyadh as the appropriate political process for resolving the situation in Yemen. The ICA said any effort by al-Zubaidi to evade this process would present a breach of bilateral agreements and a violation of international laws. Moving on, the regional bloc of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, that's the ICGLR, has raised concerns about the AFC M23's capture on Thursday of Uvira, which borders the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burundi. ICGLR Deputy Executive Secretary Yasser Mohammed noted at an extraordinary meeting of the body's Specialized Committee of Defense Experts in Livingstone, Zambia, that the conflict had caused immense human suffering, mass displacement, and disruption of humanitarian operations. Statement by a Zambian Defense Ministry Public Relations Officer, Paul Shalala, cited Mohammed as urging member states to come up with decisive actions to stop the escalation, which has deepened the humanitarian crisis and heightened the risk of cross-border destabilization. The meeting preceded an extraordinary meeting of chiefs of defense as the ICGLR seeks to address wider regional implications of the Eastern Congo conflict. And in South Africa, South Africans have protested outside the United States Embassy in Pretoria, condemning the recent U.S. military attack on Venezuela and the capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. Mohamed Desai of the South African Latin American Association said they were out to send a very clear message that the way the US was behaving in a lawless and gangster-like way was unacceptable and that South Africa will not tolerate it. Desai said he supports the Southern Africa's government's condemnation of the US incursion into Venezuela, adding that the protesters were calling for the immediate release of President Nicolas Maduro. Among others, the Secretary General of the South African Communist Party, that's the SACP, Solly Mapaila, also condemned what he called the US interference in the internal affairs of Venezuela and called for the unconditional release of Maduro and his wife. The demonstration was organized by a broad coalition of Southern African trade unions, political formations, student movements, and civil society groups. And from South Africa, we'll go straight to Kenya, where 8 soldiers of the Kenyan Defense Forces, that's the KDF, have been charged with narcotics trafficking in a case tied to a large methamphetamine seizure that intercepted at sea in October, reportedly valued at over $63 million. The soldiers appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Gladys Olimo, where they all pleaded not guilty to the charges. The court heard that the case is connected to an October 25th maritime operations in which authorities intercepted a D-hull and seized a consignment of 2,258 pounds of crystal meth, which was later brought ashore before the soldiers made away with some of the drugs. Opposing the bond, Principal Prosecution Counsel Brenda Oganda told the court that the proposed terms did not reflect the gravity and seriousness of the offenses, warning of a real risk of interference with witnesses and potential compromise of the ongoing investigations. Prosecutors said the soldiers were found in possession of varying quantities of methamphetamine, with the charges reflecting individual and joint involvement. And in Ghana, lawyers to Ken Ofori-Atta say the former finance minister of Ghana, who is wanted at home on suspicion of corruption, has been detained by United States Immigration Authority. Ofori-Atta, 66 years of age, has been in the U.S. since January last year for medical treatment, including surgery for prostate cancer. His legal team said he had applied to extend his stay in his country. In a statement, however, his lawyers disclosed that officers of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement took him into custody on Tuesday over the status of his current stay in the United States. The former minister was declared a fugitive by Ghanaian authorities in February last year and was formally charged with corruption in November. And from Ghana to Liberia we go, where an investigation by Liberia's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has established that the May 29, 2025 near crash of the private jet carrying President Joseph Boakai was likely triggered by a failure of 2 tires on the aircraft's left main landing gear. The malfunction was said to have occurred moments after touchdown and forced the aircraft into a dangerous skid at Roberts International Airport. The preliminary findings show that the incident was not a routine runway mishap, but a serious aviation safety event involving mechanical failure, incomplete maintenance documentation, and gaps in airport safety systems. Investigators say these factors could have turned deadly under slightly different circumstances. The Gulfstream 4 jet, registered and operated by VMO Aero Nigeria, was returning from Lagos with the president and his delegation when it touched down at about 3:21 p.m. local time. Moments after landing, 2 tires on the aircraft's left main landing gear failed simultaneously during the rollout phase. You're still watching the African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now we'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us to make sense of these stories and more in the studio with us this beautiful afternoon is Dr. Peter Anosike. Dr. Peter is a public and political affairs analyst, an erudite scholar, and a major writer right here in Nigeria. Doctor, a very good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and joining us virtually as well, all the way from Uganda, is Barrister Edward Okwaro Matakenye. Barrister Edward is a human rights activist, a lawyer, and also a business associate. Barrister, a very good afternoon to you.
Mr. Peter in the studio.
Thank you so very much for joining the conversation. Also joining us virtually all the way from Liberia is Mr. Hansen Blayon. Mr. Hansen is a media and communication expert and also an unstable public and political affairs analyst. Hansen, a very good afternoon to you and welcome. We would urge you to unmute your mic so we can establish communication clearly, Mr. Hansen Blayon. Okay, well, we'll try to get him into the conversation. We also have virtually joining us all the way from Kenya, Mr. Martins Irere Njue. Mr. Martins is a financial advisor, also the CEO, Wealthgate Insurance Agency. Mr. Martins, a very good afternoon to you.
A very good afternoon to you, Mr. David.
Thank you so very much for joining the conversation. All right, then let me start off from Mr. Martins. Interestingly, I want to start off from a story that I wish that Hansen Blayon, his audio is very clear, and I'm hoping that my team also is working with him on that one. Interestingly, as it stands, there are conversations surrounding the aircraft that, again, for some safety reasons, this skidded away from the runway. And of course, documentations and preliminary findings have shown that the incident was not a routine runway mishap, but a serious aviation safety event involving mechanical failure, incomplete maintenance documentation, and of course, gap in the airport safety system. First off, a lot of persons will want to find out, who do we blame in this kind of conversation? Now, I'm coming to you, Mr. Martins, because first, you are a financial person, and this, again, is on the part of business that I'm coming to you from. If this was clearly something that was an incomplete maintenance documentation, would these not be affecting the revenues being generated should this kind of conversation consistently happen in an airport as heavy as that of Liberia? Should these affect the financial inflow of the aviation space in Liberia?
Thank you, Mr. David. One is to understand that our aviation system is one of the economic building capacity in African arena. And when the citizen of a country does not trust the airline, it means that economically it will be the economy of a country will be destabilized. Secondly, what is happening on our aviation? It has been a perennial or recurring issue whereby we can see accident in aviation, and this is not only happening in the country you have mentioned. It is happening across Africa. It means that there is an issue of maintenance of our aircraft, and this perennial issue of accident are happening now and then. So one thing is that the government should ensure that the finances meant to maintain our aircraft are not siphoned or are not routed, so that it can to sustain our aviation sector. Because it is so that if the institution or authority running our aviation sector is corrupt, it means even accidents will happen now and then. So, meaning that our aviation systems well analyzed, well put measures are put in place to ensure this issue is not recurring now and then, because end citizen will not have trust in our aviation sector.
All right then.
So,
well, let me still move away from you a bit. And of course, I get your point clearly, because it's going to really be affecting the aviation sector in Liberia. Now, let me go back to the man who is, of course, in Liberia, and I'm talking about Hanson Blayan. Again, welcome to the conversation this afternoon. Now, first off, this situation did happen in May 29, 2025, that's last year. But of course, the investigation into that incident, the reports are being released today. Failures of 2 tires on the aircraft. First, what's the body language of the presidency, particularly on the aviation sector, and how much of these kind of conversation are we seeing in Liberia presently?
yes, thank you so much. You see, one thing when this incident happens, a lot of misinformation happen to rise. But the key issue is the corruption. And where there is corruption, you will find this, instead of addressing the issue, they start making what is a blame game. A blame game will not solve the issue or then address the giant in the room. If anyone found the culpable of the situation should be sacked and should be taken to bar so that he can invest the role. Because once we fail in our airlines sector, it means it will affect our internal affairs, transport, and ends it means the country will fail in some diplomatic ties with other countries. Because if you can fail in this in the airline, which is bringing the ties of various countries together, how can we forge forward to make tangible policies? So this is an issue that needs to be addressed, not only in Arabia, even Africa as well, because even here we had several accidents regarding aircraft, and we find that those are the issues that we are addressing.
Okay, let me take this conversation to Mr. Hanson in Liberia. I don't know if his audio is very okay right now. Again, this conversation, Mr. Hanson, is clearly from the part of safety, which is much of a major concern, because not just the president takes, of course, the aviation space. Every other Liberian who is well-to-do also fly the aviation space. What is the body language of the passengers, knowing these kind of situations can happen to even the president? Talk more of an ordinary civilian in the country. We would like you to unmute your mic, and of course we can get you clearly. Okay, I think he's not so very much ready for us. Let me bring the conversation to the studio. Doctor, again, you're an economist, and I want to come on the part of economy for the Liberian aviation space. How much of an impact would these kind of findings bring to the fold? Because this is a major scare. I mean, the reports clearly say that if this was not cautiously taken care of, lives would have been lost. And we're talking about the president here.
Yeah, there's a popular saying that there's no parking space in the air.
Right.
There's no parking space in the air. What that means, the maintenance of an aircraft should be top notch, because if anything happens that's in the air, there's nothing to be done about it. So the issue is this: if it can happen to the president's aircraft, then imagine the fear it will have in the mind of other people.
Right.
It means that no other aircraft is safe, since are the one being used by the number one citizen. So it will throw a lot of confusion, a lot of fear in the mind of the people, and some people will even refuse that to go near to an airport. Understand me? And for me, taking more than 7 months for an investigation, understand?
Right.
It's going to affect the economy of the country and the economy that's of the airline. It's going to affect the economy of the country and the economy of the airline, because everybody will be anxious to know what happened to the president that's airline. They want this issue to be resolved before they will begin to decide whether that to continue traveling by air or not. So, since for me, that 7 months
was too much.
This what can be concluded under a month. Understand? If you say that's a burning product, this is what they can do within an hour. Understand? And find out what actually happened. So for me, that 7 months will have taken that's a turn on the economy of the country and the economy of the airline.
All right, then let's take this conversation to Uganda, where Barrister Edward is joining us now. Barrister, Doctor here just mentioned the level of negativity this will be having on the part of the economy for Liberia. Of course, investor confidence is where I'm going to ask my question from. On your part, also, do you toe the line that a 7 months investigation thoroughly it's too long a time for the number one citizen's life, so to say, that was almost, we use that word loosely, being taken as a result of this mishap? Plus, how much of investor confidence would these findings give to the aviation space in Liberia?
Thank you, David. I believe a government itself has a laxity on the issue, because in such a scenario, 7 months, that's a long period of time. But remember, most governments, I believe, there are issues which stay even more than the period we are talking about, because of a certain maybe circumstances. We talk of corruption. I hear my brother Martin brought the issue of corruption. Those are areas we look at. The bodies which are responsible for all this might have not been financed, might have not been actually set to do this work in the right way. So I believe the government also carries some bit of a blame in this, because they would have actually done something which is going to make work a bit easier. So I believe there is a lot of corruption. When it comes to aviation issues, it affects not only the same country, but it can affect mostly the even other neighboring countries, whereby the economy of the country may be affected on the other way around.
All right, then. Well, let me stay with you, Barrister. And I'm going to go to the situation from Ghana, where lawyers of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta have said that presently their principal, and I'm talking about the Finance Minister, the former Finance Minister, is in custody. And of course, he's being detained by the United States immigration authorities. First off, what's your position about the fact that a lot of questions are being raised about this man, who again was indicted by his country as a corrupt official and declared him wanted? Well, again, he did go for medical treatment in the U.S. and right now he's being detained in the U.S. Questions have been raised about what is Ghana's extradition timeline, and has probable cause been certified by a U.S. court to have taken him in and to possibly want to extradite him to Ghana?
Some of these things happen as positively as a result for Africa. What I've learned with the African leaders right now, they tend, when they make this kind of errors in their countries, they tend to flee in different countries for survival, just to escape away from the crimes they have committed. So his arrest is not actually something very important on my side, because I expected that those leaders who have been found not good in the office be charged, which is good. So right now, Africa is getting out of the Western world, more especially the US. You get that US has become a bit tight on issues of corruption. You have seen what President Donald Trump is actually doing. He's actually doing a lot to clean up, including even Africa. You have seen what is happening in South Africa.
Right.
You can't actually go ahead and demonstrate because somebody is helping Africa. Somebody is helping a country to get out of issues which are, Venezuela has its own issues. So by US doing whatever they have done, on me, I give it a credit. So I really needed the same to be done to these African leaders so that they can actually now wake up and say that it's not staying in. That will not be a solution. Please, let's exercise leadership the way it's supposed to be. Let democracy be there. Let everybody enjoy human rights in wherever you are as an African. That is what I recommend.
Well, I'm still going to stay with you, and there's a particular question coming to the court that I'm going to ask you. Interestingly, the former finance minister has a 78 count on him on all of this, but the question now is, what is the quantified fiscal harm per count, and how much has been recovered thus far on the part of the Ghanaian authorities, who clearly have declared him wanted since last year?
You know, when you are taken to court, you will be charged as per the crimes you have committed.
Yes.
So whether they are 78 and they are all strong charges, then he has to face all of them. It's not a matter of recovering whatever he has stolen. But you see, even before you steal, the conscious mind would have actually informed you before you do anything that stealing in that country, is it a crime? So in itself, it's a crime in Africa. So that alone gives him a chance of actually be charged all those 78 accounts. So I don't think whether to recover or whatever, but what I believe it should be charged appropriately by the courts of law.
All right, then let me bring this conversation to the studio here before I go straight to Kenya and of course Liberia. Doctor, interestingly, the man Ofori Atta at 66, some would say African political elites, when they fall sick, they run out to Europe to seek for medical attention. How much of an impact is the fact that this man clearly has a 78 count on his head as an offense in Ghana, and of course was declared wanted, but had already gone to the US for medical reasons?
It's not only when they fall sick, when they are indicted for corruption.
Right.
They'll become, two things happens. They'll become sick. They remember their Bible or their Quran. That's when they will know that God is in existence. Understand? They'll go and look for the Bible that they've not read in the last 40 years. So the issue, it depends on the volume that's of the offense. But what the United States did is to help the government of Kenya. Understand?
Of Ghana.
Of Ghana, so he will not escape justice.
Okay.
They are holding him there. I will not extradite him back to Ghana to go and answer his crime. Because if you don't detain him, he might run to these Arab countries that don't have any extradition treaty with other countries of the world.
All right.
So holding him for him to stand there and answer for his crime is the right thing, because I'm sure over 50% of the money that he stole must be in the Western world. Understand? So they should also help Ghana to also recover those monies that's outside the country.
Now, I want to stay with you, and I'm going to talk about institutional test here. The OSP in Ghana published chain of evidences, log and procurement audits and trials. How much of an impact is the transparency of these particular trial going to have on investor confidence in Ghana as a country?
No.
Of course, with the resurgence of John Dramani Mahama as the president.
There's for now he is innocent because he has not been convicted. But if there's an investor sees that a person in the position of a former minister of finance can be arrested and and tried for corruption,
right?
It will help investors confidence. It will help. It will help in transparency, credibility, and even that's in the judicial process, that nobody is above the law. So for me, it's a good one.
All right, then. Well, let me take this conversation back to Kenya, where Mr. Martins is still standing by. Well, interestingly, some have called President Donald Trump of the U.S. a big brother of Africa, doing quite a lot of things, particularly on the African continent, to rejig and, of course, revive some security and, of course, some economy. On these arrests in the U.S., how much of a confidence would these kind of discussions have within the African political landscape? Because it's not about the first time that the U.S. government will be doing one thing for a particular African country or another thing for another particular African country. How much of a confidence is this move by the U.S. government on the arrest of former Finance Minister Ofori Atta of Ghana?
Thank you, Mr. David. One thing is about the issue we have here in Africa, whereby we are talking about the issue in corruption. You see, a minister going to seek medical services overseas or abroad. It means this is a government official who doesn't have trust in the country health system that he is running. And being the Minister of Finance, it means that this country should have in place the health system that is working for the poor and for the rich. Hence, going to seek medical services abroad, it means that these are people who are running the government that is not working for the common man. Hence, going to seek medical overseas, it means that this is a person that is delaying the criminal justice system. It means that the country will take too long to come into conclusion of this matter. Because if he is in the US, it means that this man, for him to come back, it will still take time, because he has well to overrun the system in a place for imprisonment. Secondly, is about the issue whereby you find if a criminal is presented in the court, an advocate will rise and say that this culpable person has medical issue. Hence, you find he has been released with a bond. And the case will take too long to be concluded. So this is an issue of our road system that needs to be addressed again.
All right, then I'm going to ask you two questions, and I possibly would expect that you round it up with 30 seconds. And I'm going to say the same question to all of the panelists on this table. The first one is the situation from your country, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Martins, where the 8 soldiers of the Kenyan Defense Forces have been charged with narcotics trafficking in a case tied to a large methamphetamine seizure that was intercepted at sea level on sometime in October, and of course reportedly valued at the rate of $63 million. The fact that soldiers are involved in this is one situation that I want you to react to, maybe in 30 seconds. Plus, the next question I'm going to ask you is the situation of the demonstration that is ongoing in the embassy, United States Embassy in Pretoria, particularly people condemning the recent U.S. military attack on Venezuelan soil, and of course the taking out of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. What's your position with this? Maybe in 30 seconds because of our time. Mr. Martins, first, let's start with you.
Thank you, Mr. David. The issue here is what we call kakistocracy and kleptocracy, where we have people in the government that are not qualified to run those positions or those institutions, and secondly, we have people who have looted our country and drained our financial sector. Hence, the country cannot be independent of itself. Secondly, is this issue of balloons, drug balloons, who have taken over the world system. Hence, that's why you can see the US is now scrambling in Africa, because you see this issue has been escalated to the third world, whereby we have drug balloons who are running the system in more countries. Else you find the dollar is not in the market. You find economy and employment is an issue in not only Africa, but mostly in Africa and in the third world.
All right, then let me take the conversation to Uganda before I bring it back to the studio. I will round up. Barrister Edward, interestingly, as it stands, same question. Soldiers involved in a seizure, and of course, they are seen cutting away those drugs from that particular consignment. Plus, the fact that there is this ongoing protest outside the United States Embassy in Pretoria. How much of a major impact would that protest have with the relationship, of course, the deepening relationship of South Africa and the U.S. government? In 30 seconds, please, because of our time.
Thank you. First of all, I need you to remember that South Africa and U.S. had issues when it came to the market, some few months ago. I think.
Yes, the tariff increase.
Exactly, whereby the South African are no longer in good terms with the current leadership of Trump. So that kind of protest does not even carry any water, according to me. So it's just demonstrating on a way of revenge, which is not actually right. Coming to Kenya, about narcotics, it is a deal of the day in Africa. So you cannot actually mention Kenya alone. There are so many countries where these things are happening. So I believe this is something which Africans cannot address. We have to invite America to come and address.
All right, then. Let me bring it to the studio. Doctor, same question. What's your position, really? Because we're really pressed for time.
I want to start with the soldiers in Kenya. One, soldiers are still human beings. They still have their problems, their worries, their ambitions. Right. So it is only discipline that can stop that.
Okay.
Now, then on the issue of South Africa, one, it is a waste of time. Maduro is going to get a life imprisonment in American prison. Understand? And South Africa is becoming a busybody of the world. Understand? South Africa is becoming a busybody that's of the world. What is Ramaphosa has no vision for his people. That's why he's meddling in matters that doesn't concern him.
Oh, well, some have said that that particular situation would really be deepening the relationship between the U.S. and South Africa. But this is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment of the African News. I want to say big thank you to all of the gentlemen that chimed in this beautiful afternoon. In the studio here, we had with us Dr. Peter Anotike, an economist, an erudite scholar, and also a major writer in Nigeria. Doctor, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you for
we had virtually all the way from Uganda, Barrister Edward Omata Kenye. Barrister is a human rights activist and, of course, legal practitioner in Uganda. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here. And also we had virtually Mr. Martin Severi Njue. He's the CEO and, of course, founder of World Gates Insurance Agency and a financial advisor. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for lending your voice. We'll take a very, very short break right now. When we return, more stories in the African news. We are up next. Please do stay with us. Glad to have you back at the studio. African News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to African business stories. The South African rand was steady in early trade on Friday as traders look ahead to United States labor market data later in the day for indications on the Federal Reserve's policy trajectory. At about 7:19 100 hours GMT, the rand traded at 16.54 against the dollar, little change from its previous close of 16.5225. Treasury specialist at Nkulu Treasury, Adam Phillips, said that on the non-farm payroll, it is forecasted to be lower at 45,000 from about 64,000, with the unemployment rate at 4.6%. He added that it is definitely going to be light at the end of the tunnel from the government shutdown, but that he does not think the numbers will give firm direction. And to wrap up the African news, we go straight talking sports. Morocco's coach Walid Regragui has defended his team's approach as criticism mounts ahead of Friday's African Cup of Nations quarterfinal clash against Cameroon. The host nation is seeking to justify their pre-tournament favorites' tie. However, they have faced criticism for their own form in spite of progressing comfortably to the last 8, finishing top of the group with 7 points out of a possible 9 and beating Tanzania 1-0 in the round of 16 at the weekend. Regragui has already warned supporters that the top-ranked Morocco need to approach their matches with humility, but that their performances have rather drawn widespread scrutiny or been overly cautious. Addressing the pre-match press conference, Regragui said the team remained confident even though they feel the pressure, adding that they still thinking the same way and have confidence in what they are doing. He stated that the players feel it and know they have to live up to it, adding that the most important thing is the fans' continued support. And with that sports story, we've come to the end of African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Lovisha Nelson One, your #1 celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyi Osarate is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV. Live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Apelon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, with the sport.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation,